So, personal timelines, yet another thing that I do that I've found extremely helpful over the past couple of years that pretty much no one else is talking about in terms of self-help, mental health, life improvement, all of that. Do you want to be more mentally and emotionally stable? Do you want to build a concrete foundation of facts about your past? Do you want to keep track of what has happened to you and what you've done and when, so that you can understand yourself better, and so that when you're telling stories, you can keep track of what happened in what order so that everything makes sense? Then create a personal timeline. So I'll get into details later on, but basically you are writing down every year you have been alive and then listing details of everything that happened during that year. And like everything in my version of self-help, there are always mental and emotional significance to all of these activities, but the intellectual significance of doing this is you are establishing what you know. Because there will always be more things that you don't know. There are enough uncertainties in life. You want a bit of stability. You want the things that you are sure about, and keeping a timeline of your life of when things happened can give you such a more solid base so that everything else, all of the unknowns, anything you're trying to figure out is in relation to this timeline of your life that you know to be true. And you will thank yourself when you are much older and you've got decades and decades of experiences to go through and you don't remember what order anything happened in. The number of people who struggle to remember when something happened in their life is insane. I think pretty much everyone has done it at some point. And so just think, as you're going through life and you're accumulating these experiences, these accomplishments, good moments and bad, keeping track of when they actually happened can be incredibly important for mental organization, for clarity, and just feeling stable, feeling sure of anything. It might be basic things, it might be significant things, it could be anything that has happened to you in life. When did it happen? And when did other things that relate to it also happen? There are so many people who think, oh, I think I'm this way, or I feel this way, or I think this way because of this, and this that happened in this order. But then when you actually sit down and go through it, no, it didn't happen in that order. They're coming to an incorrect conclusion about who they are, why they think a certain way, why they feel a certain way, because they don't understand their own story. They've mixed up factors that led to them being who they are, and they're repeating a false narrative in their head. Because the basic idea of what happened and when is one of the most objective, factual things you're ever going to get in life. There are plenty of subjective experiences and things that can be interpreted differently. But think about where you were living, who you were living with, what job were you working, where did you travel? Like, those things are objective reality. And when you have that foundation of certainty, all of the unknowns about life become mentally and emotionally easier to deal with. Like a lot of the things I end up talking about and recommending to people, this is not just an isolated exercise. This is a long-term strategy that will give you benefits beyond what you can see at the moment. And you've probably already come across the consequences of not having a personal timeline. So like, your parents are telling a story and they're agonizing over what year something happened, or was it this month or this year, or did this happen before? I think we've probably all been there. And so having an answer, being able to look at your timeline and be like, no, it was this year because of this, or this, like, that by itself is sometimes the best reward. Or someone asks you about your reasons and inspiration for taking on a new project or starting at a new job, and you can't really formulate a strong answer because you don't understand the story points that led you there. Or your significant other says how many years you've been together, and their feelings are hurt because it's clear to them that you did not know what that number was. The bigger question that's brought up in exercises like this is, how well do you really know yourself? How well do you know your own story and all the milestones you've gone throughout your life? Are you selling yourself short because you're not recognizing and acknowledging your own accomplishments? Or Are you missing out on motivation to get your ass in gear because you're 35 and you haven't done anything in your life? Putting things on paper, or at least virtual paper, allows you to see the big picture of your life. I always tell people the benefits of to-do lists. This is an even more important what's been done list. The most basic and significant life-affecting factors. Whether it's a year you moved and had to make new friends, or a graduation or finding a job. Personal timelines can help with everything from relationships to resumes to mental health because you have answers about when things happened. You get so much clarity about the facts of your past, and then you can also extrapolate meaning from that. And this whole activity can actually be an opportunity for sitting down with parents, grandparents, your kids, friends and family to clarify when things actually happened and in what order. And you'll likely notice a lot of people have difficulty remembering when certain things occurred. If done right, it can be an entire therapy session for a family to sit down and figure out when everything happened, comparing different perspectives, different ideas, and then finding evidence about when it actually happened. Find records, look stuff up, and check your knowledge, because a lot of people have these false or skewed memories about huge chunks of their lives. And a lot of people get a boost of nostalgia and appreciation for all the good times, whether they're doing it alone or with others. And that in itself can sometimes be enough of a reward. Like, do you know what year it was that had your favorite memories with your friends? Or do you remember what month you met your spouse? Some people remember all these things naturally. They've got a really good timeline memory. But most people don't. But even if you're one of those people who keeps track of everything, writing things down in this way can help you explain chains of circumstances to others. Or it can help you discover new connections or remind you of certain things. Or it can reveal long-term patterns and reasons for behavior that you might not have noticed otherwise. Or a whole bunch of other reasons. There are so many different benefits that will be unique to your life that you're going to notice when you start to do this. So, how to make your timeline. First thing is, write down every year you've been alive. That way you actually have to fill in every year you've been alive. You have to put something there. Because things that happened before you started having memories can impact you. I remember stuff from when I was 2 and 3 years old. I remember certain things. And knowing where I was and when, it links those things up, and I realize, oh, I was learning to do that here in this location, and it just broadens what you can remember. Your mind will fill in the blanks. Whether it's all accurate or all imagination, you get this richer sense of memory when you have a little bit of accurate memory, and then you tie it with everything that you know was true in the environment. 2, fill in where you lived, and do this for every year. If you moved, even temporarily, if you moved houses, towns, or spent a year somewhere, write that down. This is an important first thing to fill in because it will help you organize details under each location. 3, fill in schools you attended or workplaces where you worked. Again, this solidifies chunks of time where you know what you were doing on a daily basis. Were you going to school and where? Were you going to work and where? These first couple of stages of the timeline are really important because they are stabilizing your memories and your ideas of where you were living, where you were going to school, where you were going to work, because people have the tendency to mix up a lot of details about other things that happen in their life. So if you have the exact dates where you know where you were, that helps you fill in everything else because everything else will be in relation to these stable concepts. 4, write down your accomplishments. And this could be like graduations, getting a job, awards, certifications, becoming proficient in a new language or a musical instrument, learning any new skill, getting access to any new information, like anything that makes you feel accomplished. Pride points. 5, write down any personally significant moments. It might be meeting someone who's important to you. It might be losing someone who's important to you. or big events, good and bad, that affected family or friends. These moments stick out in our minds, and it's very important to know when they happened and in relation to what else was going on in your life. And even if you find that there's been a lot of tragedy or a lot of bad events occurring that you're filling in here, it can be cathartic just to write them down. Like I said, this is your story. This is what you've been through. And you can take it as just the objective facts, but this is how you can also create it with a lot more meaning. It can do a lot more for you than just organize your thoughts. And what it can also do is help you recognize all of the good things that have happened, things that you've done, connections that you've made with people, events that improved your life or the lives of others. It's very easy to dwell on bad memories, on bad emotions, on all of the bad things that have happened to you. Like, that comes very naturally to people. But one of the best things you can do for yourself is dwell on the good memories, the good emotions. Like, you can do the exact same thing. And if you're wanting a healthier outlook, if you're wanting to improve your frame of mind, dwelling on the good memories and the good emotions, everything good that's happened to you, like, that becomes even more important. So good or bad, add in anything you can remember into your timeline. What friends were you hanging out with? In what years? Did you have medical issues? And when did they start? And when did they stop? And why? When did you go on trips or vacations? And how long were you there? Anything that you experienced that might be important to you for any reason, just fill everything in. And now you have it all written down on a timeline. And if you're concerned about privacy, maybe leave off any sensitive information that you don't want someone stumbling across. And there's no wrong way to do this either. You can try to squeeze it all on one page or fill up an entire journal. But it is your story about how you have lived your life up until the present moment. It can be a very cool document for your family, your descendants to hold on to, seeing facts and experiences about your life. And it's incredibly useful if you're ever writing a memoir or biography or autobiography. But when it comes to getting your life together, like understanding your past and seeing where you're coming from, like that can help you build towards your future. You get stability, clarity, and just better opportunities for self-reflection. Plus, it's a good way to practice keeping your thoughts in order, keeping everything organized. It's a way to see yourself and where you are in the grand scheme of things. Like, this is an orienting exercise that can give you a new perspective or a more accurate perspective. And for a further self-help element to all of this, notice what you're positively drawn to when you're writing this out. Like, what are you happy to be able to include in that timeline? What do you want to write down? And what do you want your timeline to look like at 40 or 80 years old? It can help you appreciate your past success and motivate you for success in the future. So let me know how this helps you. Are there benefits I didn't cover? Are there difficulties that you need help with? Let me know. Bye.